السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today we will be dealing with one of the topics very close to my heart, Hijama. By whom and for whom? I am sure the word cupping or hijama does ring a bell. We have come across the word at some point of time or the other, right? You find famous athletes flaunting it, you find articles on it, you may have even come across a few hadith about it. Now, what exactly is hijama? Hijama in Arabic means sucking. Now, you'll be surprised to know that cupping existed way before Islam, but then our beloved Prophet ﷺ redefined it for us. And what is practiced now is the way the Prophet ﷺ defined it for us. Now, there are different hadiths that speak about the importance of hijama. One being, Prophet ﷺ said, healing is in three things: a gulp of honey, cupping, and branding with fire. But I forbid my followers to use branding with fire. Now, there are many hadiths that speak about the importance about it and how it was practiced. Now, let us have a quick look at the importance or the benefits of hijama. As we are aware, hijama has different health benefits. It could be an immunity booster. Hijama targets on the circulatory system, it skeletal, on the nervous system. So basically, hijama is a full-fledged package that focuses on overall health. Now, it also focuses on muscular health, it strengthens the vital organs, it revises the muscle fibers, activates circulation, it helps get rid of toxins, relaxation. It helps us in also sorting out a few metaphysical issues. And it also improvises on our emotional and physical well-being. There are innumerable benefits of hijama. You name it and it works out for you. Now, before we get to task, you are aware of what hijama is now. You are aware of a few benefits which I've quoted. Of course, the benefits are innumerable. Now, let's tackle the elephant in the room that no one talks about. Let's come straight to the motto behind this video, which is about who and by who, right? So now, before we get to task, I would like to ask you a few questions. When you look for a spouse, a product, or a vehicle, what factors do you look for? For example, in a spouse, do you look only for the guy or the spouse, or do you look for the mother, the father, the pay scale? Now, this is for you to ponder upon. Now, let's take a materialistic example. I need to buy a phone. Now, I want a quality phone which does not give up on me at intervals I cannot seem to imagine. I need one with a good battery life, a feasible speaker, a good display. Now, I will not accept a product that has a flaw, right? So, just like you will not drive a car that has a leaking fuel tank, so you will not accept flaws, right? This goes to everyone. When we select a product, be it in a relationship, be it in a materialistic option, we look for the best for us. Now, we look for the best and we are vigilant and careful. Why is that when it comes to your health, you're like, whatever, a sunnah, what can go wrong? Just small cuts. Why hype it? Why is that we opt for a medium that is not authentic or ethically right? I understand that ignorance is bliss. At times, definitely, because people with no knowledge will not worry about things. Knowledge is liberating. It helps you to decide. It helps you to decide for the best. Now, let's get back to square one. When you put so much of energy and effort in shortlisting what's best for you, why don't you do the same about your health? While looking out for a therapist, why do you feel going to anyone and everyone is fine? Why do you feel just because someone's recommended you or one of your acquaintances had a good experience, you too will? Why don't you educate yourself before going to a therapist? By now, I'm sure you must be aware that there are a few criteria that needs to be looked upon, right? I'm sure all of you must have understood by now. Now, how do I choose my therapist? Okay? How will you choose her? What will you see? Just because XYZ went to someone, or XYZ is going to someone, or ABC has had a fabulous, a fantabulous experience, will you go to them? That does not work that way, right? You will go to someone by educating yourself whether the person you are going to is right or no. The most common summed up option that we opt for is because it's free. We feel that because it's free, we need to take benefit of it, or because it's free, we are entitled to it, or because it's free, someone is doing it in the right way. It does not work like this. You have to understand that you definitely can have recommendations, but then you have to use something called common sense, right? You have people giving you recommendation over recommendation that you have an XYZ sister been practicing hijama for so many years now, and then you have Islam come in between. You come to know so and so is doing an act of sadaqah, and you feel obliged that you have to go there, and they're all doing it for a good cause. I agree, they may be doing it for a good cause, but are they doing it the right way? You have to enlighten yourself before giving off your body to someone. Do you understand the importance of your body? Do you understand that it is an amana given to you? Do you understand that there's much more just than just putting blind trust in someone? Before giving off your body to someone, you need to educate yourself. It is not about them, it is about you. I hope everyone's aware of the fact that cupping using surgical blades, and you also are aware that the few therapists use the normal one. Do you know that the harm a contaminated blade or deep cuts could do to you? Have you ever cut yourself with a knife? That is what will happen when you use a normal blade instead of surgical one. You take a knife, you cut yourself, see the results, you'll need stitches, right? That is what happens when the right blades are not used. But then the recommendations will not tell you about it, because either they have no knowledge, or they don't know what's the right way, or they do not know what they deserve. Okay, do you in your least of sane mind understand contamination? You do, right? So if the method of cupping is not done in a hygienic and safe way, it could cause a rebound effect on you. You wouldn't have even imagined in your worst nightmares, right? Your body is an amana. You have to take it that way. You understand? You have to educate yourself before going to the therapist, as well as educate yourself in the process. My dear sisters, ignorance is not bliss always. So now, while you go to a therapist, or before going to your therapist, what do? How do you educate yourself? You educate yourself by asking questions, right? Just like the small children ask us questions, how mama, or how auntie, or how baba. You are supposed to ask the question how, what, why. That's how you educate yourself. Now, when you ask questions to your therapist or the person you are going to, okay, if he or she ever come up with a very famous dialogue that nobody has ever questioned me till now. How dare you question me? I've been practicing it for 16 years, 10 years. You're the first one to cross question me. Now, let me give you a small technique to deal with it. When I just had my first child, I was a new mother, a fresh one, a naive one, so I had very little knowledge. But then I wanted to educate myself. So we had this maid who was a very old one, and she was a professional pro in handling babies. But me being me, I had to ask so many questions that there was a time where she snapped, where she is like, I know what I'm doing. I've had almost 100 babies before this. But then, me being me, I had an answer to it. I said, Auntie, this may be your 100th child. This may be your 200th child that you're taking care of. But this is my first. I need to educate myself. And this put an end to our conversation, and she understood that I am not someone who will stop asking. So when you ask questions, if a person is offended, You can always quote this example that it is your first time. It is your first time doing hijama. So you want to educate yourself. You want to understand how it works. You want to know what you're using. You want to know what are the benefits, what are the pros, what are the cons. So now, if your therapist in the same mind and is God-fearing, she will educate you. If not, she'll get offended. That is going to be the last straw and you will walk out. So now, you go to your therapist, you tell this is your first time and you want to be informed. Now, you can ask a few questions. There are a few questions on the slides for you. You can ask her what blade will she use. You can ask her about the cups. The blade she has to use should be only surgical ones. This is for your information, which you will keep at the back of your mind when you talk to your therapist. You will ask her about cups. You will ask her about the contamination, whether they are reused or whether they are fresh. You have the right to know whether the cups that she's going to use on you were used earlier on someone else, or you have the right to know that they are not contaminated in any way. So now you can ask her about the aftermath. How is your experience going to be after it? What are the consequences or what you will be facing after your procedure? Okay, you can ask her about the pre-cupping procedure. See, the process of hijama is a very elaborate one. It's not like you go, you lay down, you get yourself a few cuts here and there, you bleed and you come out. No, there are time slots allotted to it. There are rules to be followed to go on an empty stomach. There are rebound actions which could cause if you don't do it the right way. So yes, you have to ask. You have to know how should it be done in the right way. So now, you ask her about diet post-cupping. Is this important? Yes, it is very important. You just can't go to a clinic, get something done and come back and eat whatever you want. Your body will not accept the procedure of hijama, nor you will be able to gain the benefits of it. Might as well not do it. So now, you ask her about the precautions to be taken. So you ask her about the charges. You ask her anything you want. She is your therapist. Okay, you ask her to all your heart's content, and if she at any stage fumbles with giving you any piece of information that you need, say Masalam and find a new one. That's the best thing you can do. See, when you are aware of the innumerable health benefits, okay, when you are educated about it, now you are assured that you are in right hands. Okay, why do you want to negate by choosing the wrong therapist? You are aware that hijama has benefits beyond we can imagine, right? It is a part of Sunnah, right? But then why do you want to negate the entire experience by choosing the wrong therapist? Okay, so if you feel at any point of time she fumbles by, for the questions you ask her, or she feels offended, you have the right to walk off. That is why you always call a therapist before you go, because you avoid all the nuisance live. You can handle it over call. So now you ask her all these set of questions. Okay, we call before dropping by the therapist. That's a basic etiquette, so that even you are aware and the therapist is also aware that you're coming. So if she is an ethical one, she will also ask you a few set of questions which will help her to treat you better. Now, basically, it's your duty to do a background check to see what is stored for you. Okay, so now, why do you do this? Why are you taking so much of trouble? Why are you asking questions to your therapist? Your therapist knows better, right? Why? Because your bodies are a mana, and a therapist should treat it like one. An educated, a knowledgeable therapist will treat your body like an amana, whereas the one without knowledge will just treat it like a piece of meat. She will cut you here and there, she will bleed you, and then you will not see results. You will just be heartbroken. Your experience will be a traumatic one, right? Okay. Amongst the few other things you are asking your therapist, you also have to ask her about the gloves and the other things involved. Okay, for example, you ask your therapist, you are satisfied with all the conditions she's put forward, she's educating you. Now, she tells you to get your set of cups. Okay, you're happy, you're satisfied, you get your set of cups. Maybe you saved a few pennies. Okay, what about the other things that she uses? She will use gloves, she will use cotton balls, she will use many other things. What if they are contaminated? You are not saving money, you are instead investing in the wrong source. So you have to make sure you ask questions like how often will she be changing her gloves and how does it work? For example, if you have a therapist who tells you to come sharp at 6:30 because she has another client at 6:50, you actually think in the right state of mind that any procedure will finish off by then, the cups will be placed on you for some time, following which the incisions will be made, after which you will bleed, and you will bleed according to your body type, according to your body temperament. There are so many things involved. When you feel a therapist is taking mass amount of clients or there is mass involved, a lot of people together, you will either ask her to give you an appointment where there are not many people involved, because no cupping therapy will be complete in a particular allotted time. It will depend on an individual. Just like the solution for everything is not the same for everyone, Hijama therapy, okay, each individual, each client will respond differently to it. Some people will bleed more, some people will bleed very less. So whenever a therapist gives you an assigned time, okay, even 10 minutes your session will be done, please avoid going to such therapist. You know that your therapist has to give you your right, her time, and you need to be walking out of the session satisfied and content. So make sure you ask about all these things as well. Now, your cups are sorted. Now, regarding the gloves, if you have seen or if you have witnessed, there are therapists who use the same gloves for all his clients. You are walking in, she is in the gloves, and then it's not being changed after. Do you realize the harm that it could cause you? Do you realize the level of contamination that it has when you are touching someone, when you're touching someone's body, when you're dealing with blood, when you're dealing with liquid, body liquid? You are not supposed to use the same thing over and over again for different patients or for different client. That's not how it works. So you are supposed to be using a different one. There are times where you need to change gloves 3 to 4 times for one particular client. So if you are stingy that way, if you find a therapist is stingy and she's not giving you your due, what is the point of going to such therapist? When you're not given your right, when you're not acknowledged with your necessities. Okay, now another thing here comes is there are times where the therapist will mention that you can reuse the cups by boiling them. How on earth is it a same practice when you wet cup an individual, the cup is contaminated? Okay, let me give you an example of undergarments. We'll compare undergarments to the gloves and the cups. Do you share it? We don't. It's solely restricted to one person. Do you reuse it every now and then without washing it? You don't, right? That's the same concept. We don't use gloves, we don't use cups. They are considered your personal belongings, your personal asset. At times, only for dry cupping we tend to reuse them in extreme cases, but for wet cupping you never ever ever use them again. So irrespective of whether it's done on you or reused on you or on somebody else, it is very harmful. It could cause consequences that you have no idea about. So please make sure you speak to your therapist about all these things and do not go to one who entertains clients in quantity. What has to be focused here is quality. When someone focuses on quantity, the quality automatically vanishes from the concept. Ask you a very simple question. When you go into a restaurant and you order for a delicacy, okay, your favorite, do you take in the plates, do you take in the condiments, do you take in the fork or the spoon or the dessert spoon? Do you do that? No, right? You just go with an empty mind that you're going to your favorite place and you're expecting the server, the waiter and the restaurant to fulfill all your needs. I would encourage you to go to a Hijama therapist this way. You go with peace of mind. You don't have to run from shops to shops and get things, okay, I want this, I want this. You don't have to do that. You have to go to your therapist in a calm way. You don't have to go hunting for all the things you need. She will provide it to you. All you have to do is you have to make sure that she is acknowledged by paying her dues. That's how it works. Isn't it very simple? You pay her dues and expect quality work from her. You expect that she will change her gloves, she will not use contaminated products on you, she will not use contaminated oil, she will give you her best. As simple as that. So now, if you take my advice, when you know that you are going in for hijama, and when the therapist or the one you know who's doing hijama on you, okay, is ethically and Islamically informed and is knowledgeable, she will guide you in the right way and she'll make you comfortable and will be ensured that you are in good hands. Now, that is one of the signs to look for, that you are comfortable. You're not supposed to be nervous, you're not supposed to fidget. So you're supposed to be comfortable, you're supposed to be in a calm state of mind. Okay? And also ask the therapist about her charges. Now, we'll come back to it later. Before we go ahead, you are supposed to know your rights. Okay, a hijama therapist will always enlighten you about the diet, the changes needed in your lifestyle, okay, and the procedure as a whole, because that's what hijama therapists do. They educate you on a larger level. See, if you consider hijama to be a house, okay, it is a part of it. Now, if you do not have the kitchen, the living room, the washroom, will you call it a house? Will you call it a living space? You will not, right? So just the same way, hijama needs to be accompanied by a lot of other factors which only the therapist will tell you about. She will talk to you about the faith changes you'll have to make. She'll talk to you about the lifestyle changes. She will talk to you about food. She'll talk to you about much more than only just putting cuts on your body and bleeding you out to death. There was this incident where a client didn't heal for the incision done on her legs for almost 3 weeks. The clinic was all fancy, a white coat doctor, but it doesn't matter. The moment you feel something is wrong or something is not right, please walk off. You aren't answerable to the so-called therapist. Instead, the cupper is answerable to you and Almighty. So if you're going to the right cupper, if you're going to the right hijama therapist, you will be made to feel comfortable. She will educate you, okay? She will respect your boundaries. She will not force hijama upon you. She will not pressurize you to do something where you're not comfortable with something. So that is the reason where we should focus on selecting the right hijama therapist, because a sunnah should not be traumatic. You're supposed to educate yourself. You're supposed to bring home the barakah of practicing the sunnah. You're not supposed to get a disease. I hope everyone understands of contamination. Contamination in simple terms mean which is a thing which is not in its purest form. So when something is contaminated, for example, let's take a small example here. If a hijama therapist, I will only use the word therapist because a true or a actual hijama therapist will not practice it this way. Okay, if a therapist uses rusted blades, you know the consequences you have to bear, right? Affect your health on such a great level that it could even paralyze a part of your body, right? And coming to the cups, if the cups are contaminated by someone else's blood, or if client A had come for cupping, okay, and he has or she has some kind of blood disease, and the same cup is used on you, you are gone for good. There is no point. Instead of practicing a sunnah, you're bringing back home a disease. So this is why education is important. This is why you have to ask, what kind of cups will she use? Were they used before? Or will you be getting them? Or how does she use it? You have to know it. You have to educate yourself. Now, by the questions you ask, you will understand that there are a few information you have to get beforehand. Like you have to come empty stomach. You're supposed to be on fasting. That is, you'll be on empty stomach. That is how hijama is supposed to be done. You never do it on a full stomach. So, when you ask your therapist these things, when you educate yourself, you understand whether you're in right hands or no. There are days specified for hijama, unless, of course, it is a treatment plan which is followed after. Hijama is usually done on the 17th, 19th, and 21st. Now, for your first time, when you're doing it as a sunnah, if your therapist calls you on any random dates, do you realize that you will not reap the benefits of hijama? Hijama is usually done on these dates, and these are done because our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has asked us to do it on particular dates. Now, if your treatment plan requires you a follow-up session, your therapist will further guide you accordingly. But usually when you do your first time or when you do it for sunnah, you are never called on other dates. You're only called on the 17th, on the 19th, and the 21st. So these are a few things which you have to know and ask your therapist. When you ask, you will understand whether she is a genuine one or the other way around. Now, the reason being, when you are doing hijama, your blood sugar level, your blood pressure, your diet, which you have been following all your life, your allergies, your lifestyle, everything is taken into consideration, right? It is not only cuts and blood. It's not that way. There are incisions, there are toxic blood coming out, there is a methodology that follows. Now, when you ask a therapist about the post-cupping rituals, if she tells you, oh, you can eat anything, you can have your breakfast, you can have your lunch, or you can have meat, or you can have whatever you want after your cupping session, please walk off. Because after a cupping session, your body will be benefited by lighter foods. So your hijama therapist is supposed to give you that guidance. All these things come under a part of the hijama procedure. But we being humans, we want it for free. We want to go, we want to lie down, get incisions done, remove the blood, and just walk out. How do we think it will benefit us? It will not. The fact remains that we opt for things the easier way around, giving up all the benefits of the procedure. We're just giving it just like that. Let me sum up a few things. You will have to ask her about the dates, 17th, 19th, 21st. You will ask her about the state your body will be in during cupping, that is fasting. You are not supposed to eat anything before the procedure of cupping. You will ask her about post diet, which should be light food, vegetables, no milk, no dairy. Okay. You will ask her about the cups, what kind of cups are being used, are they reused for someone else, or are they reused for you, are they recyclable? Ask her questions. You will ask her about the blades that are being used. They are supposed to be surgical ones. A right hijama therapist will give you the exact information. In fact, she'll give you the right information that will calm you down and make the entire procedure a fruitful one. Coming to the last part, you will ask her about charges. Just like I mentioned, we want everything for free. Now, things that come for free are usually, for some reason, did not last long. If you have noticed, whatever comes for free into your house, they are things you're not benefited by. See, technically speaking, if you ask about fee, yes, definitely a person could volunteer and do it out of his own wish as charity. But you have to understand that when a cupper is charging you, it only means that he or she has to cover her basic expense. Definitely the initial investment could be made by someone, but then the procedure has to go on. She needs new blades, she needs new cups, she needs batteries, she needs swabs, she needs the whole procedure, the entire kit every time for a new client. How do you expect the money to come when you do not make an effort to pay or even cover the basics? I understand at times there are therapists who offer to help you, who offer to make it a complimentary one, but not always. It's not affordable for them. They are doing a sunnah, they're reviving it. But when you want a quality in their work, they're supposed to be paid for it. A hijama therapist will have cups, will have surgical blades, will have a blood sugar monitoring device, will have a blood pressure monitoring device. These are the procedures, these are the equipments she needs to have. She will have disposable pads, she'll have alcohol swabs, she'll have tissues, she'll have many things. And that has to come from somewhere. She has to pay for it. She may pay for one client, she may pay for two clients. But then to maintain the quality, she has to receive in return. And if there was something wrong about paying the cupper, our Prophet ﷺ wouldn't have done this himself, right? If you take the hadith which is mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, once the Prophet ﷺ got his blood out and paid that person who had done it, this is referred to cupping here, if it had been illegal, the Prophet ﷺ would have not paid. When it is halal for a cupper to charge, why are you making it haram for him or her to charge? Let me tell you, you are not the reason she's having food on her plate. You are just covering the basic expenses that she needs to cover, that she needs to get new cups, new swabs, testing kits, monitors, or whatever it is. You are covering the expenses, you're paying for the expenses so that she gives you a quality work in return. Don't you think this happens everywhere? Why are you segregating a hijama therapist into a category of guilt? Why are you guilt trapping her by questioning her about her charging a person, or charging a client? And she has a right to do so. Do not get charity, do not get an act of sadaqah in between. She's already doing her bit. She is reviving the sunnah. Don't you think this happens everywhere? When you want quality, you pay for it. You don't get quality for free. What you get for free has its own results and consequences. But when you pay for something, what do you expect? When you opt or when you buy a branded vanity bag, what is your expectation? That it will last long, it will look classy, and it will not wear out, there are no wear and tears. You expect that, right? It's the same thing with any other aspects of life. When you expect quality, you need to pay some amount in return so that the quality is maintained. There is no rocket science about it. It's as simple as that. So, do not make a cupper guilty of charging money for whatever the quality work she provides to you. And yes, it is totally left to her whether she chooses not to charge a client or whether she chooses not to charge someone in particular. But yes, a hijama therapist will always have a fixed price for a few cups. That's how it works. That's how the quality is maintained. That's how hygiene is maintained. That's how a lot of things are maintained. That's how you get quality work. Now, when you expect quality, expense always walks hand in hand. Now, knowing that, now you are aware of what kind of hijama therapist to choose. Now you are educated. Now you know the comfort level you have to have. So go bring back home a sunnah and not a disease. Heal yourself with a sunnah and do not burden yourself. Now that you are educated and know your right, do it the right way. Darul Arqam has a panel of hijama therapists. They are certified hijama therapists. They are guided by Sara. They have all the Darul Arqam hijama therapists have a diploma in hijama therapy, which means that they know what they are doing and they will help you help yourself. They will guide you with respect to the pre-post cupping procedures. They will help you understand where you go wrong in your lifestyle. They'll help you with your faith. They'll help you with a lot of things. Now, having said that, if you check out our website, you have the Hijama therapist contact numbers who are located in different parts of the world. We have a few therapists who are in Riyadh, in India, and other parts of the world as well. So you can get in touch with them anytime and get yourself cupped. The therapists were rightly guided by Sara by all aspects, be it Islamic medicine, anatomy, physiology, ethically. All the therapists were guided in the best way possible. Now, having said that, if interested, you also could get a diploma in Hijama therapy by Darul Arqam. You can log on to our website and check for the criteria. If you fulfill the criteria, you may get in contact with the number given below. So, having said that, I hope this helps you to choose a Hijama therapist and in the process revive a Sunnah and be benefited by it by all means. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.